Hello, everyone. In this short presentation, I'm going to talk about the inclusive education for refugee students in the context of host societies. So first, I would like to begin with introducing some background information about the refugees. So due to the long-standing conflicts in home countries, many people are forced to flee other foreign countries to seek peace and safety. UNHCR defines refugees as people fleeing conflict or persecution and must not be expelled or returned to situations where their life and freedom are at risk. So by 2019, there have been about 26 million refugees worldwide, which takes about 8% of the total population in the United States. So why I choose this topic? First, acknowledgement of the significance of promoting successful settlement outcomes and inclusion for refugee youth is growing. Inclusive education for refugee students in the host society is remarkably crucial to the field of international and comparative education because it reflects the new global education goal, which is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all, which initiated by the United Nations. Next, globalization breaks geographic boundaries between nation states and draws physical distance closer among people. Meanwhile, globalization also makes it challenging to promote inclusive education within multi-ethnic societies. Global migration has also created significant challenges for nation states to maintain social cohesion as responding to the increasingly diverse population. So here are some of my research questions. First, how UNHCR's education policy affects national education strategies toward refugee students. The relationship between global governance and refugee education will be discussed under this question. Next, what are some challenges of promoting inclusive education for refugee students in host countries, and how countries solve these problems? Due to the limited time, I will only talk about the challenges and some national approaches to solve these challenges. So first, reported by the UNHCR, refugee students face different barriers to enroll in national schools, or some only have access to certain unregistered schools. The camp schools are operated for refugee students, while those located outside the camp are for local students. Schools located outside the refugee camp have higher quality education than the camp schools. So even though the curriculum used is the same, the quality of education are different. This lack of consistency between these two types of schools does not benefit refugee students from being integrated into the host society and enhancing social mobility upward. In terms of experience with extreme violence, trauma, and disruption, many scholars pinpoint that experience is one of the most significant challenges that refugee students face. For example, about 79% of Syrian refugee students have experienced a death in the family, and almost half of them have displayed symptoms of PTSD. Within the group of 11,000 students in certain elementary and middle schools in the United States, almost 60% of students with refugee backgrounds have been bullied at least once a month. Next, beginning school in host countries requires refugee students to have significant cultural and linguistic adaptation, and the language barrier can disadvantage refugee students academically and socially. Last, the lack of previous education traps refugee students in a poor position to catch up with peers in the mainstream learning environment. For example, in the United States, students with refugee experience are often placed in the lower grades compared with their age-similar peers, which may cause severe exclusion. So here are some approaches I found from the literature review. First, a strong partnership is necessary for the inclusion of refugees in national education system. In addition to UNHCR's efforts, Thomas 2016 points that integrating refugees also requires involvement from government, school administrations, both ESL and mainstream teachers, social workers, students and their parents, refugee students and their parents, and the community to cooperate together. In Victoria, Australia, a program called School Support Programming is operated to facilitate schools and agencies providing a holistic model for a whole school approach focused on the learning, social, and emotional needs of refugee background students. And there's another scholar also suggests that the whole school reform approach covering changes in structure, culture, and pedagogy can provide a comprehensive model that influences school for all students, which including the refugee students. So if you have any questions, please email me. I'm free to answer it.